Chuck Sullivan was one of Ed Parker's original black belts, and Vic LeRoux was one of Chuck's top students. We caught up with these two at Vic's studio.
We're here in Seal Beach with one of the living legends of martial arts and one of, again, my teachers. This is Grandmaster Chuck Sullivan. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great.
We're here to just share with our viewing public who you are and what you do. So can we start off by asking you a couple of questions?
Go right ahead.
The first one is, how long have you been in martial arts?
It was February of 1959 that I first met a man called Ed Parker. And I will never forget it if I live to be 1,000. He was a man that with a couple of simple moves could shake the building. And I knew immediately that this is what I wanted to do. So I've been with Ed Parker from the day I started in '59 until his untimely passing in 1990. I studied with him right up to the end when he was teaching it over at his West LA school.
Okay, that's a good long time. And since you've started in Kenpo, Kenpo's changed in certain families, I call that in certain families. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing presently with the Karate Connection?
It evolved into teaching by video because there was a need for us to be able to get our system to people around the world that couldn't avail themselves to us personally, in person. So we wanted to put something there for them, a system, an entire system, and it should be all pure Kenpo. And what we did was we took over 2 years of taking all the material that we knew, which of course was virtually everything that Ed Parker had taught because we were with him for that length of time. But then we began to boil it down into something more comprehensive, more for video. And we found that there were a lot of things that were repeated and things that had become redundant, that you didn't have to practice that many different things. You just had to practice some of the really good stuff more times. So that's what we did with the videos.
Through your course, somebody can really pick up what you teach.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you might find this a little strange, but in some cases, they pick it up better. And the reason for that is, all right, you're teaching somebody. You say it 6 times. You know, after a while, it's like, come on, man, you can get this. You know, you get a little, oh, how many times can you keep saying the same thing? And the student, on the other hand, says, oh man, I really haven't got it. I really haven't got it, but I don't want to ask them again.
Right.
He'll think I'm stupid.
Right.
So you let it go. And what happens? They don't get it. But on video, you're there, the video's there, he could watch it 1,000 times if you asked him, and you're never going to deviate. You know how we are as instructors. I mean, we'll go along, and then suddenly your thought changes and you're onto something else, and before you know it, you never come back to this.
Right.
So you've deviated, and the poor person, the student never got it.
When I'm talking about some of your students, you have so many students, and you have some students who came up with you from the very beginning, way back when. Can you tell us about some of those instructors? I wanted to mention mine, but I won't. I was just...
Oh, you'll mention yours. We'll both mention yours because, in fact, let's mention him first. Okay. We don't have to take this chronologically. Steve Mohammed. Steve Mohammed, the first night I met him was at the Santa Monica school when we took our boys over to their boys, and everybody fought as a big free-for-all. It was great. And I remember afterwards, this kind of skinny guy comes up to me and he says, excuse me, he says, oh, where do you guys work out? And I said, well, we're over in LA. He said, we're in LA? Really? Where? I said, on Crenshaw Boulevard, just a little south of Florence. He said, that's my backyard, man. He said, can I transfer over there? And I said, well, Steve, this isn't exactly the public school system. I said, you don't get a transfer, but I said, yeah, come on down. I said, when you finish here, you know, we pick you up, but in the meantime, come on down. And he came down, and I gotta tell you, I've seen people come and I've seen people go, but Steve Mohammed is, first of all, one of the finest people I've ever known, as people go, and I have to say the finest martial artist I've ever known.
Now, tell us more about some of your other students.
Well, you know, in so many cases, they weren't students, they were peers. Like, all right, Danny and Asano. I was teaching the class, Dan was in the class, but we were much closer to being peers than we were student-instructor. Okay. And Dan and Asano, another absolutely beautiful individual, Back in those days, let me tell you, I actually signed a statement, not a statement, a promise with Ed Parker that I would not teach what I was learning to anyone outside my immediate family.
Wow.
That's how it was back then. He actually made everybody sign this paper that you wouldn't teach it to anybody. And I was fine with that. I didn't think it should be passed around like, you know, like chiclets. I mean, this was great by me, fine. I'll keep it that way. After a while, it just got forgotten.
Right.
And at that time also, if you went around to other schools, that was a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
You really weren't allowed. Obviously, all these things changed in a very short period of time. But Danny was what I call a seeker. Danny wanted to know what was going on everywhere, and he made comparisons. And every time he went away, he'd come back, and he'd tell everybody. He made it no secret. Mm-hmm. And the old man just kind of looked away. He said, okay, fine, that's Danny. You know, Danny can do it. Danny can do anything. So, and he did. And he just did that. And then when all of a sudden one day, he didn't come back because he met a man by the name of Bruce Lee. And he fell in with Bruce, and there was a marriage made in heaven.
Okay, now we know that you have, I'll call him your partner.
Right.
And he calls you his teacher. And because he loves you so much, I know he'll never leave. So we introduce, I guess, can I call him one of your closest students?
Oh, absolutely.
Senior Master Vic.
Master Vic started with me at 14 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't tell you how old he's getting to be, but you can do the math yourself. So it's been a long and happy and fruitful relationship. And Vic's got some real nice things to show you.
So Vic's going to show some stuff today.
Yes, he is. And here he is, Vic LeRoux.
Hey Vic, how you doing?
Hi, Robert.
What you going to show us today?
Well, I'm going to show you some of our bass techniques with some of the blends and some of the favorite takedowns that Grandmaster Parker taught me privately and Mr. Sullivan taught me, and some of the things that we're putting together and some of the things we're doing with the choir connection.
Well, let's get to it.
All right. This is Eddie Booz, one of our top black belts. All right, step in with right punch. Kick. Left hand forward, punch domination. Here. This is a favorite punching technique taught to me by Mr. Parker, Grandmaster. As he said, you move through, you telegraph. If you move your front hand to your front foot, so he uses rear foot, sinking with the front hand, hit, looping heel palm check, punch over the top, under the chin, kick inside the knee for his favorite double buckle, and take down. Usually the hand goes down, we normally take that out, looking for a stomp to the head, and cover position. Next one was right kick, guidelining the kick pass, keeping the action flowing, striking, stepping up. I like to occupy his center of gravity as I step up. I kick and I buckle. We call it posturing. Better stance I have, I'm now occupying his center of gravity where he was standing. Left-right punch combination. We're using parries. They could be extended. For eye rakes, everything becomes offensive. Clawing, thrusting. Normally we recock everything, but here we're going to do a collapsing elbow. We move in, chop, up, scooping, chopping. I'm using a blind depth spot here to chop up underneath. Comes up, so when you do it, it's hard to see. Scooping out. Next technique is for a right punch. It's trapping, canceling his height, width, and depth zones, jerking his arm out of his armpit, stopping his head, heel palm check, chop to the throat. Normally when you chop in the throat, he will move back off his center of gravity, causing him to be off balance. which helps with the takedown and our finish stomp with the front cross and out. Normally we finish with the stomp because a lot of times this guy's getting back up and we don't want him getting back up. Thank you, Eddie. Here's one more technique. This technique is Crenshaw High Five. It's the original 5 swords. You think that size better?